The horror film gracing the silver screen this Halloween season is Shelby Oaks, the long-awaited debut feature by YouTube film enthusiast Chris Stuckmann. His journey has been well documented, from YouTube startup to the most successful horror movie Kickstarter of all time to complete an indie film being picked up by Neon Pictures. There's a danger of getting caught up in all the behind-the-scenes story and just being so happy that someone is living their dream that you may forget to judge the film by its own merits. On that note, I should mention that I am not completely unbiased because I was a backer on the Kickstarter campaign, though I kept myself mostly in the dark about the production because I wanted to be fully surprised by the finished film itself. I don't think my opinion will be too tainted. Of course I want the film to be good, but I want all films to be good, and I'm comfortable with the notion that sometimes I'm not going to like everything that I back on Kickstarter. And yeah, I finally saw Shelby Oaks in a packed house, and it's actually quite good. It's a pretty tight feature, under an hour and a half, which makes sense because it's a pretty low-budget indie, and every minute counts when you got no money. It doesn't look low-budget though. It only feels that way when you know the signs, if you're kind of in the know about indie filmmaking. You know, stuff like limited locations, a small cast, limited special effects shots, etc., etc. It doesn't skimp out as far as the quality of the picture. The lighting, sound, camera work is all very professional, and they brought in quality actors who deliver good performances. Impressively, they brought in Keith David, who I guess had a day open to shoot a scene, and made the movie all the better just by being there. So Shelby Oaks follows Mia as she's been trying to find her missing sister Riley for years after she disappeared in the abandoned town of Shelby Oaks. Riley was a YouTuber in the early days, as she went out with her team to look into supernatural mysteries. Kinda like BuzzFeed Unsolved, but something actually happens in it. Well, after their Shelby Oaks visits, the group never comes home. After a time, the case goes cold, but one day, 12 years later, a mysterious man ends up on Mia's doorstep and has the first new clue to Riley's fate. One of the more clever aspects of the film is the mix of found footage and more traditional narrative. They're integrated perfectly, and the odd format actually gives the film an unconventional structure. It doesn't quite feel like a proper 3-act script, but it doesn't detract from the movie or make it drag in any way. It still cuts a pretty good pace, even though the film is sort of intentionally slow. There's a lot of tension building and quiet moments of characters, and thus the audience, putting the pieces together as we find more and more clues. The film really rests on the shoulders of Camille Sullivan, a local Canadian actor who Stuckmann saw in a movie called Hunter x Hunter, and he casted her based on her performance there. I haven't seen it, but maybe I should. And she didn't disappoint. Every moment of the film she conveys her uncertainty, determination, and genuine fear as the truth is laid out for her. And often there's no dialogue, so it has to be conveyed with her body language and her face. You know, acting type stuff. Having such a professional in the lead role really sets the bar for the film. And Stuckmann does a great job delivering the goods. You can tell he did the homework and he carefully planned how to make his film. Directing is mostly preparedness mixed with a lot of adaptability. His love for the horror genre comes through as he channels flavors of Blair Witch Project, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Hereditary, and probably more. And he took the right lessons from those movies, which is patience. He is patient in what he reveals and when, and the tension is thick throughout. If I had to nitpick, and I do, I'd have to say that while Riley and Mila's relationship is very clear in Sullivan's work, the actual text of the script reveals very little about the protagonist. You know, she wants to find her sister, but I don't get the sense of what she has given up in this pursuit. Who was she before this? The only thing that we got was that she had to put her family plans on hold, and that her relationship with her husband has been strained by the whole ordeal. There are clever ways you could deliver more backstory without bogging the audience with too much exposition, but they decided to go with the less is more approach with the dialogue, and you know, I guess that's fair. Mia's husband is a useless character, and probably the weakest actor in the film. He's not, like, really bad, but he's also outclassed by everyone else. And at the end, there is a bit of clunkiness in the delivery of a certain turning point. I like the ending, but there was just some cuts that needed to sell something, and I wasn't completely sold. I really don't want to ruin anything, so I have to leave it vague, but it's just logistical editing and camera stuff. Considering how well it was done through most of the film, it's just kind of surprising how choppy it seemed there. As far as the film actually being scary, I would say yes, there's a harsh jump scare in there, but the movie doesn't rely on that for the most part. It succeeds by being disturbing on a conceptual level, and having a dark, tense tone through much of the mystery. I think horror fans are going to appreciate it, though I don't think it's destined to be a classic of the genre. I'll give it 3.5 out of 5. I hope it does well so we can see what Chris Stuckmann can do with more resources at his disposal, but it's a fine start, so check it out. If you like my review here, please subscribe to the channel and give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to check out our Patreon page. You can find the link in the description down below.